We've thought about doing a video program to share classic cameras and lenses, but we've always been short on time since we just worked part-time. And in the past 2 years, for reasons we all know, it seems like we've had more time on our hands. At this time, a couple of old guys have approached us again about doing a lifestyle program based on camera equipment. But what caught me a little off guard was that these old-timers had the name all figured out. Eyesbook, as the name suggests that our program is written with the eyes. 20 years ago, we all exclaimed that the world has finally crossed over from the age of reading text to the age of reading pictures. The pictures here are in fact photographs. As a result, the photography and photographic equipment industry has grown exponentially around the world in the last 2 decades. I know a lot of friends who were heavily involved in photography and equipment from that time, and now 20 years have passed, the world has entered the age of streaming media, and it sounds like it's a little late for us to do a video show now. But when you think about it, nothing is ever out of date, as it's the time of our show that's late and it's not the content of the show. What's more, nowadays photographic equipment is more than just a tool, it's a hobby or even accessories. It's also part of a particular lifestyle, which is the main reason we still need a camera even when we have a cell phone to take pictures, and still need a film camera when we have a digital one. Eyesbook will be based on photographic equipment and then radiate to all aspects of life. We will share with you classic objects, interesting people, and meaningful things. So Eyesbook is not only belongs to our initiators, it's a platform. It belongs to every interesting soul, just like you. Welcome to contact us if you have special collections, unique insights, and knowledge in certain areas, and maybe you will be the speaker of the next program. Of course, we'll be seeing some of the famous players and respected collectors that you know on our show in the future. We'll update Eyesbook from time to time in the future. Please contact us if you find any mistakes in our program or have any comments or suggestions. We will publish them in the later program. I would also like to thank the old friends who have been with us for the past 10 years. Thanks for your supporting and trusting. We would suggest you making the subscription and thumbs ups now. Actually, we are definitely going to be beyond our normal time in this first program, because we have to talk about the camera later. As you know, we can't just only talk about the introductions. I know that many of our old friends like to hear many things that offend other guys in Eyesbook, and I also hope that we're going to share the cameras and the lens with you. In fact, I thought it was a bit inappropriate for me to open the first episode. After all, it was the old guys who asked me to do it, but they all told me that the first episode would easily offend people, so it's better for me to do it. I wondered this is a trap for me, but the old guy said, "You're still young, deserve it." Okay, hurry up, let's do it. We officially began the first Eyesbook program. Now I have to move to another place. As the beginning, I sit on the side place, so I looked at the camera, crooked. Now sitting in the middle, feel much better. Today we are talking about Hasselblad 205 FCC. And with this amazing FE lenses, all this side are Hasselblad, and there are a lot of other Hasselblads I did not put out today. We need to put the 2 series of the vein of a simple comb before speak 205 FCC. But I have to briefly pull 2 sentences about Hasselblad before talking about the vein, in order to introduce it to a lot of friends who do not know much about it. In fact, Hasselblad was founded in the year of 1840.1. The year is easy to remember, especially for the Chinese. Hasselblad company was only a Kodak's agent in Sweden in the early years, just selling films, and did not make cameras until Victor Hasselblad controlled it. He began to make cameras. In fact, he updated a camera used for German Air Force according to the demands of Swedish military. So Hasselblad began to only make military cameras, but never make any civilian cameras such as HK Vyse, MKYE. Actually, I have a complete set with original wooden case in my hometown. Hasselblad began to make civilian cameras after World War II. The earliest model is 1600F. Listen to the name, you know that it's the highest shutter speed according to this name. But I would remind you that this is a medium format and it is a focus plane shutter body. And more importantly, it's a metal curtain shutter. So even if you look at it now, it was 70 years ago. That was a remarkable thing. And I used to own several this model but have none now. The reason is because the failure rate is really too high, and then Hasselblad launched a model with maximum shutter speed of only 1,000th of a second. named 1000F in the year of 1952. The reason is very simple, just more reliable, and of course it has much lower failure rate even on the second-hand market now. So if you buy a 1600F on the second-hand market in working condition now but out of order soon, it's common, not about you're lucky. We know that 1600F has focal plane shutter body. Actually, it's the 2 series predecessor, that's right. In fact, the source of 205 FCC is 1600F. And of course, there are other models before it, such as 2000FC, FCM, FCW, as well as 201F, 202FA, 203FE, 205 TCC, and then to the latest 205 FCC, so it will be half century from the beginning year 1948 to the year 2002. There is also an interesting thing across the Hasselblad history. There are a total of 12 Hasselblads left on the moon by humankind, and of course most of them are the big mode like EL, ELD, all motorized versions. We go back to the 205 FCC. It made from the year 1995 to 2002. Sounds like 8 years, but the total production are only less than 800 pieces. In fact, it could be said it's a very rare model, and this makes me think of another rare Hasselblad guy, 503 CWD, which is this one. Only 500 units were made, and this is the lowest guy in the non-limited edition Hasselblad. Followed one is 205 FCC. We can compare with the common 503 CW. They are almost the same size, but 205 FCC may a little larger than 503 CW. And FCC also has a significant heavier body than CW. It weighs 750 grams only for the camera body, and the total weight will goes up 1,600 grams. If you add the 80mm CFE lens and the E12cc film back, this weight is not light. The highest shutter speed is 0.02 of a second, the slowest speed with automatic exposure is 90 seconds, and it can be up to 34 minutes if you add another accessory, with auto ISO with 12 degrees to 6,400 degrees, which is also completely sufficient. About the film back, I have to say one more thing. The E12cc film back is just developed for the 205 FCC, and the most obvious difference between E12cc and E12 back is contrast adjustment for film. In fact, the original back for 205 FCC only has 2 formats, E12cc and E16cc. Of course, the film back for 5 series could also be used for 2 serials if you do not want to use every automatic functions of 205 FCC, or you have to use CC film back if you need to activate its full auto functions. As you know, some of the functions either cannot be used with other film back. Speaking of this time, it occurred to me that I have had a lot of 205 FCC with the original digital modified version. There will be a mark in this place we put on the screen now. This picture is my previous one. It's the original modified version with this mark. If you use a digital back, such as the Hasselblad CFV digital back. Need to use synchronization cable I, which is very convenient. This is only the original modification and has no third party can do it. I can't remember exactly. The price of modification is $600 or $800 US in those years. But there is a problem after the digital if you use E12cc film back. The auto ISO function date can't transfer to the camera body from the film back, which means some of automatic functions can be used and have to be operated manually. $600 was not normal price in those years, but the sale price of 205 FCC camera body is 47,800 yuan in mainland of China in the year of 2002. It's very expensive even now. And it's only the camera body. You have to buy lens and film back separately, as there is no standard combo for this price. There are some other data about the 205 FCC I will not talk about in Eyesbook, as you can find it with Google easily. So I'd better talk about some of the content is not easy to find or that cannot be found, or some of them are easy to forget, such as the battery suit for this camera is a 6-volt battery. Kodak has it on sale. This battery is the same as the Rolleiflex 2.8 GX, but the FCC metering and exposure shutter open both need battery. What to do if it's suddenly out of power when we just push the shutter release? You have to change the battery, or the shutter will keep an opening. I've had that happen before. You'll waste one shoot if you use a film back on occasion with out of battery, so we usually push the button on the camera body to check the battery level before shoot with a new roll. But in my personal experience, the actual use of this machine is not pretty energy consuming, at least not as much as we thought, so still quite durable. Alright, Fine, let's talk about the lenses and the operation later, as it's a little complicated. In fact, the Hasselblad system has a lot of lenses. Sounds like complicated C, CT, CF, CB, CFE, and FE lens. How to identify them easily. 5 series such as 503 CW, 501 CM. This 5 series cameras can be used, all of them except FE lens, as it will need the interlens shutter. But for the 2 series without any exception theoretically, so means from 40mm to 500mm lens. But in fact, we have to use CFE or FE lenses only if we want to activate all the functions of the 2 series, that is to say the suffix name with FE, and the rear port has electronic pits. Otherwise it won't work if we put a CFI lens to fit it, as there is no any electronic pit to activate the automatic functions of the 2 series, which is very important. And for 2 series, the common lens is the 80mm CFE, or use this one to take portraits. 110mm FE lens, very good for portraits with large aperture. Then there is this tele lens, such as for shooting snowy mountains, lotus flowers, and so on. This is a SA 350mm CFE lens. Only 500 pieces were being produced. But this is 350mm CF lens, fit to 5 series. In fact, I feel to buy CF lens will be enough if we only use 5 series cameras for most of Shutterbugs, including me. Because it will not useful for us. That SA better than CF. Although many people can afford the SA and could find a rare SA. I advise to live your means. What fits you is what works best. Alright, let's go to check other functions of it. It's time to operating. I'm not going to talk about the good aspects of this camera because a bunch of blurbs on the internet. It's on a pedestal now, but it's another pair of shoes in a few years ago. So today I'm only going to talk about some aspects that most people don't know, or someone know but wouldn't like to release it. It's about the so-called common problems of it. Of course, this is the most complex and expensive guy in mass-produced Hasselblad. Let's talk about it, the first point. Let's put it up on the screen, as you can see in this picture under the mirror. The black coating will crack but not affect use if not falling. And the second one, look at the side of the body. This round button is used to activate the menu function. It will collapse if violently being pressed or used too much. You can search on internet for pictures of this button. Many FCC have collapsed, and then it will has a terrible press feeling or even not function well. It will be useless if go worse, but this button is too important, so pay attention on it. And there's no parts to replace them. This is the second point. The third point, turn it on. The rear port is a focal plane shutter. Yes, it's a cloth curtain, and the maximum shutter speed is 0.02 of a second, which we talked about earlier, but I think someday you're going to find your 205 FCC. Curtain leakage. Yes, is leakage as long as you use more, but you may not see it with your naked eyes on the curtain directly, except you find small bright points on your negatives, especially some of the strong light photos. This also has no solution. In addition to change the curtain can be replaced, even now. But I personally feel that it's impossible to have the same state of using and life expectancy with the original one in new condition. If you got someone to replace the curtain, this is the third point. The fourth point is that we take off the viewfinder to see it. There are 5 kinds of viewfinder could fit it. We will talk about it later. A small LCD screen above the focusing screen. The LCD screen will be missing words, and then a little more serious, it does not show up at all if we show it in the environment of the stronger sun for a long time. This LCD screen is very important as it will show a lot of dates of the camera. It's not a 2 series camera if the screen died. The focusing screen of it is very special because it's equipment with 1 degree spotlight metering. We'll talk about this feature later. And point 5, look at the plate on the side of camera body. It is easy to crack. This is a minor problem, as it's available for sale now, easy to change. But think it's a deep problem about the camera. No, it's too normal for 205 FCC. Lots of them will have it. Our guys in charge of the camera keeps winking at me while I'm talking now. They try to stop me offend other people who sell this used cameras. Okay, I got it. Let's talk about the function details. In fact, it's a little complicated to use it. After all, it's the most complex Hasselblad SLR camera. Look at this 2 jacks. The first is for PC flash and the other one is for Hasselblad Smart Light. What's the difference between Smart Flash and other flash? The Smart Light is the big Hasselblad D Flash 40, but it doesn't sound as its name now. and its maximum shutter speed can reach 1/1000th of a second if you use D-Flash40. This side is for you to plus and minus on the main menu, and then this button has two functions. The first one is AE lock, another one is to activate the menu, and you can do it with two ways: press this button or half pressing the shutter. Now let's check the steps on the menu. The first one is PL@, means program. In fact, it's just a setting menu, and you could set 5 functions with it. The first one is for self-timer. The standard time is 10 seconds, of course. Also could be set from 2 seconds to 60 seconds by yourself. It has a light on this side if you set the self-timer. And the second setting, it will prompt the flash logo on the screen when you press it one time. So it means to control the output of the flash. Press one more time to the third setting. It's about adjust the compensation lever of the AB bracket exposure, such as press up and down with half a level or 1 level adjustment. The fourth setting is about the EV value, such as the warning of overexposure. The normal default is 9 stops with positive and negative. And about the D mode, it just means differ, light contrast mode. The last setting is ISO, of course. It could recognizes the ISO of the film automatically if we use this E12cc film back. So no need to set manually, but you can do it if you will. Well, let's look at the AB mode. Shooting with PL or AB mode are actually both equal to AB, but with default 0 compensation, so without any bracketing exposure, just one shoot. D means the light contrast mode, so-called differ. Then you can use these two dials together, and this dial on the back can only be used with D mode. In fact, this function is just simulate, prolong, or shorten the printing time in your darkroom. Then Z mode means zonal exposure mode. For example, press this button when you face to a point in your frame. It will automatically determine the lever in the zonal light when you move to other points. Maybe let's talk about this later. And then let's try the M mode. It is a manual mode, so every dates can be set manually with it. And press this button to light up the LCD screen. The background lighting is actually a dark red light. A battery compartment on this side. You'd better to take off the battery if you will not use it for a long time. It's a 4LR44 battery, which is the same as in the Rolleiflex 2.8 GX. And the compartment must be inserted to the end of when you load it into the camera. One more thing, pay attention to this golden holes, check the vapor, or it will easy to rust. It should have a little damping when you insert it to the end. Okay, let's go on. Let's take off the film back for easy viewing. Look at the right side of it. As to this side, there are two functions. Trigger one time for mirror pre-lift, but easy to break if used too often. Trigger 2 times for self-timer setting, and here's a manual film crank that goes together with the winding. We have to take it off if you use the motor. And you can also install this kind of metering handle. Easy to take off it. Just push this silver lever. It's coming down. This side has 2 triangles. Turn the small triangle to the red dot, then push and turn the knob if you need to mount it on. I have one important reminder about the habit of using Hasselblad SLR cameras. In fact, 2 points. First, the lens can be taken off only when the camera had been strung. For example, we need to check the mirror in the camera body when take off the lens, it on string when the mirror fall down, and then check the lens, it also on string if you can look through the lens, but except the FE lens. We could attach the lens to the camera body, only this both check, otherwise it may be stuck, and sometimes you have to take a part of your camera body to repair it. So it is very, very important, need to be particularly careful. The second reminder, it's about the dark knife in the film back. Make sure insert to the end, or you can't take off the back. And to install the back, be sure to connect the bottom first. Do not put it on with the whole plate directly. That's it. Need to get used to it. Well, let's take a look at the LCD screen and take off the viewfinder off for easy checking. In fact, there is a diopter adjustment glass on the viewfinder. You can change it. There are 5 viewfinders you can change. How to change the focus screen? Very easy, just flip the clips on this both sides. Pour it off, of course. This is the 2 series. So it has a small LCD screen in front of the focus screen. Just pay attention. Put it back without too buckle back. Just insert the viewfinder directly. Both clips will back automatically. Let's start the LCD screen. Half pressing the shutter. Go to the PR setting. I pressed this button, but hard to see it in this bright box. Cover it will easy to see the red light date screen. A special with this magnifying glass on the viewfinder. Yes, and goes off after 16 seconds without any operation. Press it and the display comes back. Also can press the side button. And now is self-timer. Now is the flash output adjustment. This is the AB bracket exposure settings. And the differ mode under the light contrast mode, EV value reminder settings, defaults 9 steps with plus and minus. This is the ISO setting, the last setting of the PR mode. If it turns to M mode, then this is the aperture and shutter datas. Adjust the shutter speed here. We can adjust it to 1,000th of a second. It's strung now. Will feel fast. Just look. Let's try slow speed, such as 1 second. May clearly with this view angle. All other speeds are fine, but we're stuck without battery. Then we look at the bottom, 2 holes on the tripod plate as many other vintage cameras. And this button is to remove the lens, this hole is for mechanical shutter release cable. We have done. Finally, in order to make it easy for you to find, we made a chart on the screen. You can take a screenshot. We have a feeling that the operation of it does not seem to be so simple. I guess a lot of guys will go back to the operation part and then repeat it to watch it. Indeed, my brain also feels stuck when I was using it the first time many years ago, as its functions are somewhat complex compared with other Hasselblads. When I said stuck, you know it's our brain, not the camera brain. So there's a common question: how make your choice? 205 FCC or 203 FE or 205 TCC? Let's break it down into simple terms. Let's say the difference between 205 TCC and 205 FCC from 2 aspects. The first one, price and easy to purchase. The 205 TCC has a total production of 2,400 pieces compared with the 205 FCC only 800 pieces. So both the price and ease of purchase, the TCC is easier and more accessible and cheaper. The second aspect is the function of the difference. 205 TCC only has 16 seconds with automatic exposure. It's the slowest slow shutter speed. But 205 FCC has 90 seconds or extended to 34 minutes through the third-party accessories or its own original accessories, but have the same maximum shutter speed, 2,000ths of a second. The second functional difference is not the same light metering, only has 4 points degree light metering if you use a standard 80mm lens on TCC. Means within 6 millimeters in the center of the focusing screen, and it could reach 1 point degree light metering only with 350mm lens on it. For 205 FCC has all 1 point degree light meter no matter what lens to use, but I do not think that everyone needs this function. Most of users don't want to admit it, but I think that including me, most of our shooting will not use 1 point degree light metering. And one more thing. The 205 FCC has a built-in Ansel-Adams area exposure method, which, make it brief, selecting an area within the frame and pressing the button. Set it as the center gray, then we move to other areas. The camera will evaluate it within the zone exposure range automatically. It sounds posh, right? But in fact, in my personal experience, is not very practical. So look at the difference. I think that many users, including me, in fact, chose a 201F, 202FA, 203FE, or 205 TCC is enough, as we will never use the function that only belongs to 205 FCC, such as automatic control. The output of flashlight will not use very often, is it? The last words I want to say about this choice is the so-called money do not necessarily buy your favorite. Any cameras belong to your preferences, so the final choice also depends on whether you really like it. Some guys will feel very strange. Why we do not compare the quality difference between several lenses in Eyesbook or Eye, and haven't tell you which one is good, which one is not good. Also, there is no outdoor shooting images and videos. The reason is very simple. There is no one standard that fits to everyone's favorites. The only thing we can do is choose your favorite that you feel the best. Secondly, why we have any outdoor shooting videos? Because we have to talk about these photographic equipment in our program. We don't have enough time to insert those images and videos. In my opinion, it's just to prolong the program time, which I don't think it's necessary, not to mention there's not enough time in Eyesbook. Well, it's time to say goodbye. We have done today. There will be more about cameras, lens, projectors, and more classic things and interesting people refer to our life from the photographic equipment. Welcome to subscribe our channel, and don't hesitate to contact us for interaction, suggestions and comments. Thank you for watching. We'll see you on the next program. Thank you.